Hello and welcome to GeekVerse Sidequest, your weekly stop for video game news, reviews, and more here on the GeekVerse Podcast Network. I'm your host, Dylan Moss, and I have with me the survivor, Kirklin Patzer. How are you feeling, my friend? We are just a couple days after the 24-hour stream. I think we're both still recovering, but
Definitely.
Of course, it was a very fun weekend, so maybe feeling rejuvenated in the soul, just tired in the eyes and the brain department.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been like I feel like every morning it feels like I did a 24-hour stream just yesterday. So I'm still not fully recovered from it, but no, that was a very fun and successful stream that we did. We raised lots of money and had lots of fun. Played a lot of games. Played some games I'd never played before, and yeah, it was just a jolly good time. And yeah, I'm just excited to talk some games here with you. I don't know. It's just good times. Good times.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah, no, thank you everyone for whether you tuned in for even 1 minute, if you left a message, if you donated, whatever it is, whatever support, we appreciate every single one of you. It was a very good time, and it was, I would say, a success for sure. Maybe it didn't have our stretch goal, but I mean, we've done it for so many years. I get it, like every year it's like, come on, pay up again. But there's a lot of people who donate every year, and those people, it's like, wow, you're going above and beyond here. But yeah, it was super fun, and thank you everyone who joined us in the trivia battle there. Of course, the big crossover event, which is always fun. And yeah, just like you, we got to play a bunch of fun games and a couple games that were new to me as well. So I'm excited to talk about those.
First thing I did when I got home, I was going through all my GameCube cases because there was a tragic incident where I brought Tony Hawk Underground with no disc in it, to great dismay for the two of us, but it was in the Spyro A Hero's Tale case, which is crazy to me because I don't remember.
GameCube game?
It is a GameCube game, and I don't think I've ever played that game in
my
life.
So game in my life. Oh my God.
I don't think I've ever booted that with my GameCube, so I have no idea why it was in there, but yeah, it's in its rightful place now. And there was a couple other GameCube games that were in the wrong places. I don't know what my habit was on that.
Yeah.
I definitely don't like doing that at all. So I'm prepared for the next year's stream. We'll be playing some Tony Hawk Underground there.
That was definitely a tragedy. I mean, because when you first got to Travis's house at whatever it was, 9:30, 10 a.m., you like brought out your games, and I saw that. I'm like, damn, I cannot wait to play that. I've been like thinking about it a lot this last month. Watched a streamer that I'm a fan of who is playing some Tony Hawk stuff, and I was just feeling nostalgic. And I was like, man, that is going to be perfect when it's like the late hours and I'm getting tired. That's going to give me the power I need. And then we opened that disc, we opened that box, and there was nothing in it. And I was, my heart sank for a bit there. But then we downloaded Skate 3 and we played that for a good hour. And that like woke me up. That was a good rejuvenator for sure. So I think Tony Hawk's will have that same effect next year. And I'll make sure, I'll probably bring mine too, just because I can't trust you anymore. But I got to bring some more GameCube controllers too, because I was sad that we couldn't do X-Men Legends. We could have, but it would have been like 2-player, and it's like, I want to do the 4-man X-Men Legends through, so we'll save that for next year.
Especially in those late hours. Those other two that aren't playing, they'd be fast asleep. You know, you know for sure that would be happening.
Yeah, definitely. And then for me, so the stream ended. I went back to my parents' house. I got like an hour or two of sleep. It's always hard for me to get like a good sleep, and you don't want too good of a sleep because then you're just all thrown off. So yeah, I did that, and then pretty much packed my bag and had to get on the bus and go home. And Kirkland, with the exception of like a 15-minute food break, just played Sea of Stars the entire bus ride home, and it went by so quick. I'm at a point now where I'm pretty sure I can go just challenge the final boss and end the game, but I've also felt like that's happened multiple times. I think hour count-wise, I'm actually probably there at this point. But now I'm just like going through and getting all the rainbow conches, doing any other kind of side questy sort of things, anything I haven't done yet. So that was perfect for that. Just go collect things. Don't have to think too hard. Go find some optional boss battles. I discovered there's like an arena in the game, which is multiple tiers of arena battles. I'm like, this game has just a never-ending fountain of joy and content. Yeah. And just like every hour has been enjoyable. And I don't want to talk about too much because we have a lot already, but when you're done it, we definitely are going to do a spoiler cast because there's so many things that I need to talk about with this game.
No, absolutely. I'm super excited for this long weekend coming up because I've been able to play in the last couple of weeks, so I'm very excited to jump back in there. I have no other like major games on the go other than some other ones that I'll mention, but I'm excited to jump back in there and just to talk to you about it because it's such a fun game and it's such a fun game to talk about.
Definitely. Yeah, just a couple of very quick shout-outs here. Check out Patreon to get episodes in early and ad-free. Next week on Sidequest, I believe, is going to be me and Taylor doing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. He's going to be playing that. And then I think there's this new climbing game, Jusant, just came out that we saw in a showcase a bit ago. So I'm probably going to be playing that, and we'll talk about those 2 games and whatever news and whatnot. So that's next week. And then I think the week after that is probably going to be a very Mario-centric episode. Me and Travis are going to be playing Super Mario RPG. And then I think Travis still hasn't been on to talk about Mario Wonder. So we're going to do that. And then the new Mario Kart courses come out at the same time. So I think it's going to be a Mario-centric episode. So it should be a lot of fun. So that's kind of the next 2 weeks on Sidequest. And I think after that is like, we're getting damn close to Game Awards. So we're probably going to do a predictions episode for that. And then live coverage of that. And then we're in a freaking Game of the Year stuff. We're already like getting to that point. It's kind of zeroing in there. I have so many games on the go right now. And I'm just like, okay, I need to cross these things off the list and get ready for, I got to start making my list pretty quick here, you know? So it's all exciting stuff. And then on the main feed, we have the final episode of Loki this week. We have the Marvels review. And yeah, it's just a good time. A lot of fun stuff going on there. I wanted to start by just talking about some of our, maybe not necessarily stream highlights, but like video game focused highlights from the stream, because obviously things like trivia were super fun and dodgeball was great. But the highlight for me in terms of game was absolutely Mortal Kombat 1. It was so fun to jump in and play that game. And of course, the context of doing it in this fighting game tournament that we did, I was not a big fan of Killer Instinct, but that's fine. It was
Me neither.
Always fun. Always fun to play some Smash. But yeah, Mortal Kombat was super fun. Obviously, I was on that review with you and talked to you all about that, and just got super hyped off that. I got home from the stream and yeah, just put it on my wish list. It's still $90, so I'm like, I'm not gonna buy it right now, but buy it someday, because I just had so much fun kind of learning that, seeing the different characters. The game's fucking beautiful, one of the best looking games I've ever seen, and like tons of variety in there. I like the backup fight or the cameo fighters. So obviously I didn't do any single player, but just playing with you guys, playing against you, super fun. What a great time that was.
Yeah, you defeated me too on your first night ever playing it, so that's a big moment.
that was pretty shocking. I mean, if we had played first, I think you would have crushed me, but at that point, okay, I'd played a little bit, got a little bit used to the controls, and I found Katana, and that was my character, and I had like a pretty simple game plan. I don't think I was not playing the most hype game. I was playing pretty cheesy, just like uppercuts and projectiles, but like, you know, got to build it up slowly. So yeah, that was eventually my character. I think you would have trashed my other ones, but yeah, that ended up being my go-to character for the night.
Yeah, no, it was a great time. Especially like this was the first time I was able to actually play like with others, because when I first got it, I was just playing the story and really just single player. Like I didn't try online or anything like that.
Yeah,
so
what's the name of that roguelike emote mansion?
The Invasions system.
Yeah.
So that's one where you're jumping through Johnny Cage's mansion, doing some different levels, different battles there. But yeah, to actually play with like a real person, that's really what these games are about. They just play so differently. Like the AI, you know, like they're pretty good at programming the AI, but nothing beats just the mind games that you can have against another person and just kind of predicting their what they're going to be doing. Like that's just why I love these types of games, especially just PvP in general across the board. So it was so much fun to just play against. I mean, I got to play against everyone, right? Like we played against Taylor, you, Saris, Travis, and just their own different play styles. Yeah, you definitely found your niche with Katana over there, which was great, because I love Katana as a character, more so just for I think it's just because she's always been a staple character.
She goes back to
in
like
the franchise.
Mortal Kombat 1, right? Like she's
yeah,
OG,
exactly. And I mean, her outfit's all blue. You know, I'm a big blue guy, so I just always like the look of her as well. But every single time I played Katana, it's just like this. She just doesn't. I don't know. It's just something about her. She's just not for me. She seems very fragile and very like projectile heavy. It seems with her fans there, but. But so
what's
yeah,
the
like,
name of is it Frost? Is the ice character?
Yeah,
That's my
Frost.
backup. That was my go-to there.
She's
as well.
very,
That
very
combo
strong. Yeah,
worked really nicely, especially because like if you just hit R1, like she kind of does a bit of a projectile. So combining that with Katana's other projectiles was like really nice and helped me close the distance and just like follow up on combos when I'm not really fast enough to like hit someone far away and quickly get over to them and hit them with a follow-up move, but instead just throw some projectile, get some chip damage on there.
Yeah, I haven't been able to keep up on like the patch notes or anything like that, but I remember like when the game first came out, she was by far the strongest cameo.
Oh,
so
really?
She's definitely a great one to pair up with the characters.
Pushing people into like the ice wall, like that move does so much damage. It's great.
No, absolutely. So I'm glad you just got to get a taste of what the game is in the new cameo system, because you know it's one thing to describe it, but actually getting your hands on there and seeing how seamless it is to actually have those two fighters. It's not like it's really changing the game Mortal Kombat. Like it's kind of just adding certain things. And yeah, it was a fun time. I'm really glad we were able to play that on stream and just I love Mortal Kombat just as a franchise in general, and really loving the latest game, and can't wait to. That's another thing actually I'm going to be jumping in this weekend is 2 days from now, Omni-Man comes out. That DLC, super excited. I haven't jumped into Invincible season 2 yet. I think only the first episode is out. Second episode's coming out probably Thursday. But I love that show, and Omni-Man is just such a great character, and I can't wait to play as him in Mortal Kombat, because all the gameplay that I've seen on him is it's terrifying, it's graphic, it's awesome, it's everything that you want out of it, and I really think that they did a great job of just bringing that essence of what he is into this game. And I mean, I'm just excited for all the DLCs to come out. They always do such a good job with their. Was
there another character from Invincible, or was it just Omni-Man?
They have Homelander from The Boys that's going to be coming out, which is pretty comparable type of character. I think he's another Superman type character. I personally think Omni-Man's a lot stronger than him, but maybe that's in the eye of the beholder. But and then there's another character that I think he's just like a Mortal Kombat one, but he was one of the DLCs that I'm not too familiar with what he is. But I'm super pumped for that, and it's a great game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was so interesting, just because everyone had like their different characters that they gravitated towards, whether that's like, you and Saris and Travis have kind of played these games in the past, so you kind of had your go-tos. For me, I mean, I think I've really only played like the arcade game at Scandia. I don't know if I've ever like just sat down and played Mortal Kombat otherwise, so I was more just checking out different characters that looked cool to me. But I like to see everyone's kind of like preferred characters or like playstyle things, because I found that was really interesting. Where I mean, I beat you, but I beat like just barely. It was a 3-2 and it was like very close, and then you destroyed Travis, and then Travis destroyed me. So I like that there was kind of like that triangle there,
right? Yeah,
because there was something about Travis on Johnny Cage and just like very short range but really fast moves, and I just could not figure out how to get out of those combos or to get a hit in on it, because he was so fast. So I just got absolutely destroyed there. But then, like I said, you wrecked him like 3-0.
Yeah.
So it was funny to see kind of just the different strengths of each character and player, I guess, for our low-level play. It was super fun.
Yeah, and like you said, it seemed like everybody kind of found their character. Like for Travis, it was Johnny Cage. Taylor, big Scorpion guy. I think he always plays Scorpion actually in all of the Mortal Kombat games, which is fantastic. And Saris was super pumped to have Smoke back in the game, because I think he's played MK9, which was maybe like that PS3 or PS4 era game. I think it was that PS3 era game actually, like just before the new old gen, and very cool character. I haven't played too much of him, but very fast and can do some
was he like
some crazy
new
mind
in
games.
That era of the game?
I think so, yeah, because I'm not too familiar with him, so that would kind of mean that he's popped in the games that I haven't played, which would have been not in those OG ones. And man, he was really tearing things up on Reptile too, which is a menacing character.
Reptile's insane.
Yeah,
from my noob perspective here, that character seems OP. Just like the range he has, the speed, some of these different specials, like that. Yeah, that one where he like flops forward.
With the he does like the death roll.
How do you possibly dodge that? It's so strong.
I think you have to jump it. Like it's not even about blocking or anything like that.
I guess you have to like jump backwards or jump like directly over him, but I feel like you have to get. It's like such a fast move that it's hard to react to it in time.
Totally, yeah. So there's a lot of powerful characters in that game, and it's just fantastic. I think right now, like my favorites are still Baraka for sure, just because he plays so cleanly. Like his combos just sync together really well, and I've really been loving Ashra. She's that like angelic type character with a sword. It's really cool move sets.
Nice. Yeah, and then the other new game that just came out on the stream weekend was WarioWare Move It that we played a few different rounds.
Oh, it was a brand new game, eh? I didn't even realize.
That just came out.
Okay.
Yeah, that just came out like I think it was literally like that Thursday night before the stream. So good timing on that. And that was really fun. I mean, I've only played a little bit of WarioWare, like just the GBA one that they put on the Nintendo Switch Online, and a very different style of game, and obviously playing multiplayer versus playing single player. But this one is definitely, I guess, WarioWare. God, I forget the name of the Wii one, but it had a very similar name to this one, where it's all about moving around and the motion controls and all that. And it's interesting. You kind of forget how good the motion controls of the Switch can be, and how like good that tech inside the Joy-Con truly is. And it's like very precise. Where like Saris was like barely holding it like slightly angled differently. It would be like, no, you can't play this mini game. You got to get it perfect. But yeah, some of that stuff is really precise and really fun. I think there's some cool ideas in there with some of the game modes in the multiplayer stuff. And then it's just the stupid WarioWare setting, stupid mini games. It's goofy, it's dumb, but it's just fun. So I don't think it's one that I would be spending the money on myself, I'd maybe go for more of the classic kind of 2D platformy ones rather than the movement based ones. But I still had a really good time with that. It was a very good stream game. I'm sure next year, I think that'll be a staple. Like I do a WarioWare segment for half an hour on the stream at some point.
Absolutely, yeah. I didn't realize it. Like I knew it was coming out because just Travis was kind of buzzing about it. I knew he was going to be picking it up, and yeah, to actually play it, it was. I'm so glad that he did get it because that was such a fun time. Great laughs on stream. We had we just kind of everyone involved on that. We had Emily on there. We had Madison. So really, Taylor was popping off on some of those mini games. I don't know what he was doing, but his
dance moves were good. He was really fast,
very fast with his movements. Kind of it was crazy. And like you said, like I kind of maybe don't give this like the Nintendo Switch enough credit for just how accurate their motion controls are because they felt very responsive. I like that one where the fish jumps through your legs and you have to like pinch your legs to, to grab it. I was pretty good at that one.
I was so confused. I just thought you had to like keep your legs apart so that the leg would that'll go through your legs. So when we were doing that one where, which I think is a cool mode where like me and Kirkland are doing the same mini game and we have to pretend that like only one of us is actually given the action. The other one has to kind of like pretend you're like the other one. And the other team has to kind of guess which one is actually doing it. Yeah. So yeah, for that one I totally messed up because I'm like I just got to keep my legs apart here, and then you close them. I'm like I don't know what I'm trying to copy this guy over here.
Yeah. So yeah, that was lots of fun. The other one that I hadn't played yet that was an absolute blast. I don't know what it is, man. I just love Wii Sports. Wii Sports, like even the old Wii Sports game, like I always loved playing that. The bowling, the golf, the tennis, like all of that was just fantastic for me. But this newer one, again, like it felt really responsive. I never felt like it was bullshit. Like I swung and it just didn't happen. Which maybe the old Wii one kind of had some of those moments in the past. But yeah, the badminton was a blast. You and me popped off on Taylor and Travis and volleyball, and it was just really
so fun. I love that. Yep. Setting. Okay, going for the spike. Like we were just the commentary of it.
Yeah,
so good.
No, I had a blast with that, and it honestly made me want to pick it up. I probably will get that new Wii Sports game. It just
it's a budget title. It's not the full whatever 80. I forget, maybe like $50 or something like that. Yeah, and there is golf in there too, which it shows how long ago I played that game because I think that came out last winter and I've just not booted up the game and download that update. So next time we'll have to try the golf out because that was always a favorite, of course. And Wii Sports, you're a legend of that as well with the eagle chip shot.
Legendary eagle, which is on camera. We got video evidence of that one.
But yeah, I'm very glad we got to play that again because like I've every once in a while I want to, and I don't know, me and Muds always just like go to Mario Golf or we go play kart or something instead. So I'm glad we finally got to do some of that. And yeah, it's a good 4-player game as well.
No, absolutely. And speaking of that, too, I got to finally try Mario Golf for the first time, which I had heard positive things about it. But yeah, I thought that was a really fun game. And I liked how they add the Mario-ness to it with just like the super stroke or whatever the hell you would call it and just the different abilities that the characters have. I loved the King Bob whatever his name is, the way he just holds like the putter and just he's such a like large character.
Like a lobster claw and just like very lightly taps it.
Yeah, it's hilarious, and yeah, I had a blast with that one as well. So
I love that game. Me and Mud still play that fairly often, and honestly, it's way better in 2-player because you can do like simultaneous hitting where you don't have to take turns, which works better because like for that some of those power up things, it just I don't know, it can tend to work better that way. And then you can also do like the speed golf mode, which we haven't played a ton of, but it's still pretty interesting. So it's slightly limited on the multiplayer options there, but still, if you're just doing the classic kind of stroke, everyone takes their turn sort of thing, it works perfectly well. So yeah, and like there wasn't a ton of stuff in the game at launch, but they definitely added a lot post-launch, and it was all free content and whatnot. So now there's a ton of courses, and I always love that game. We did a lot of just switching. We did a lot of we did a little bit of Mario Kart at some point. Did a lot of Smash Ultimate. I did Strikers, which is always fun. That was like a good kind of, what was that, like probably 5 a.m. we whipped out Strikers.
Yeah, that was late.
Got a game with everyone in different teams, which, I haven't played that in a while either. And there's even new characters that have been added since the last time I played. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, really just fun time visiting all those games again.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, there you go. There's some stream highlights. Maybe with that, we can move into some of our other games that we've been playing here. And I want to start with the big dog, your WarioWare character here. I want to start with the big dog of Alan Wake 2. I want to talk about this one first today. So this came out a couple weeks ago, and we're in November now, but like spooky season continues on for me because I have this. I have one other spooky game to talk about a little bit later on. And yeah, I'm a little delayed here just because I was in Kelowna for a few days, was doing the 24-hour stream. So I'm a little bit behind on the Alan Wake 2. I think I have about 3 hours in the game as it stands. I don't even really know how long it is. I'm going to guess like 12 to 15 hours in that pocket. So still maybe fairly early on, but I feel like I've seen a lot of the different stuff going on. In terms of my background, I've shared this before, but probably a good time to do a refresher. Alan Wake exists as a kind of a weird nostalgic memory in my mind where I remember back in the day, back on they did like a YouTube prequel live action series to that first game, which I believe was on like the Machinima YouTube channel. And
oh
back
my
in the day,
gosh!
I
I forgot about Machinima. That's so
yeah.
crazy.
I know,
just
right?
opened up a whole
You
chapter
picture
in my
that
brain.
M, the red
yeah,
M, like it's a very nostalgic thing.
Oh my
where I was,
gosh!
Yeah, when I was in high school, middle school, I got just Call of Duty gameplay commentary, Halo videos. Like that was my jam for years and years and years. So Machinima was kind of the heart of that machine, so to speak. And so it was always kind of weird that there's this Alan Wake live action prequel series on here. And for whatever reason, I was really into that. And so it got me really hyped about this game, even though I didn't know who Remedy was at the time. Hadn't played any of their previous games. And so, yeah, I watched that series, was super into it, picked up Alan Wake. I think I maybe rented it and played through the whole thing in a weekend. It wasn't even like a horror game guy, but I really got into that game. I'm like, I'd only play at night, turn the lights off, headphone, Turtle Beach is on, full volume, get myself kind of nice and scared. And I had a really good time with the game. I loved it, but I found that it's not one that I think about too often. And going into this, I felt weird going into the sequel because I'm like, man, I really remember like next to nothing about the actual game at this point. I remember there was like a flashlight mechanic with like monsters, but like story-wise, tone, setting, I couldn't tell you like any details about the game, which weirdly actually is like a full circle thing where Alan Wake in this game is trying to remember what the hell is happening, right? There's a big part of it where he's like woken up from like 10 years. It's kind of accurate in the time there. And he doesn't know what's going on. There's all this stuff has changed and the whole world. And he's trying to piece together what's going on from this weird story that he's written, that he's living out. And that's like the whole kind of narrative setup of the game. And so it's kind of somehow thematically perfect that I don't really remember much about that first game. And I feel like in a way that kind of puts me in the shoes of Alan Wake. So I don't know how intentional that was from them, because I know they did the remake, remaster, whatever it was, of the first game that came out a couple years ago. And I know they said, okay, you don't need to play the first game to play this one, but I think every developer will always say that so that they can not lose out on sales from people who didn't play the first one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it felt like a good way to come into the game again, and it's kind of fun to revisit this weird, like only kind of 2-game series with like the one spin-off in there. And then I also, in between, Alan Wake 1 and 2, I did play Control, but not a game I finished. I put like probably 10 hours into it, and I didn't play the DLC where it actually like crosses over with Alan Wake, because that they said after Control came out that this is in the same universe as Alan Wake, but when I was playing the game, I couldn't tell you in what ways. And then I think at some point they actually did a DLC where I don't know if Alan is in the game or whatnot, but it's a more direct, like, here's how the games and universes connect. And so far in this game, I have seen like one character that I recognize from Control. So they're connecting all this tissue in some weird way. And yeah, my overall thoughts on the game so far, this kind of, once again, early-ish on here, is that I'm really enjoying it. It's a very weird, ambitious, I'm going to say bold game. Once again, it's doing that kind of mixed media thing where there are live action sequences with a live action Alan like typing away on a typewriter. In between chapters, there's like music videos that play, and you can like skip them, or you can just sit there for 5 minutes and watch this. It's not really, there's not too much of the video. It's more just like trippy imagery, but then there's like these full songs that they're either very thematically tied to what's happening in the story, or they're like original songs for the game. They're kind of like lo-fi beats. And so it's like taking this live action acting stuff, it's taking this like music video stuff and video games and kind of mashing it into one weird thing, which I guess makes sense for Remedy. They did Quantum Break, which was like, you watch an episode of this TV show, then you go play an hour of the game, then you watch the episode. So they've done this stuff before, and obviously Alan Wake 1 had that YouTube live action thing. So it's just very bold and weird and different in that way, and I think that's why it feels very fresh from the storytelling perspective. Some of that stuff is a bit strange to me. It took me a couple hours to get used to seeing this live action guy who looks, kind of different from my video game character that I'm playing. But I also got to say, this is one of the first games that I've played that truly feels like a next-gen game on this Xbox Series X console that I've had for a couple years now. And I think part of that is probably because I'm not on PS5, and I feel like PS5 has done more of that with like Ratchet and Clank and Spider-Man 2 and some other games that probably feel like, oh, this is a big next-gen experience, but Xbox hasn't had a ton of those so far. But yeah, this truly feels like that, and I think it's really taking advantage of the really fast load times of this console where you're going back and forth between different worlds seamlessly, and that stuff works like super well, and the game is really, really beautiful. The lighting is insanely good. Just the first area you're going through, it's kind of this forest area, and the amount of like foliage and detail and wind blowing through is like, yeah, like just unlike I've seen before. There's other, Forza Horizon looked super good, but there's something about the fidelity of this and like these smaller, tighter areas that is just really, really impressive. So in that way, I'm really enjoying the game so far. Good story, interesting enough gameplay, and then just visuals and weird mixed medianess of it is super compelling. I think I want to issue some warnings here, which is that if you are interested in this game, want to pick it up, I would say wait at least a month or two or more, because there are a ton of issues with this game. Like the audio is bugged out constantly, especially with Xbox and the like quick resume where you can switch between games. If you do that with this game, the audio will not work. You gotta close the game, boot it up again. I went through the opening cutscene of the game. It's like 2 minutes long of this cutscene. At the very end of it, the audio just stopped and glitched and was just completely stopped. So I had to hard close the game and start it up from scratch. Like, you never see that. You never see opening cutscene glitching, because like, how do you let that through the door if the game is like that that glitchy? And so I've had a ton of bugs and glitches and whatnot. None of them are too drastic, but the game also has like generally kind of bad auto saving, and you can't just save at any time. You have to save at save points specifically. So it's kind of like, okay, my audio is glitched here, and like, I guess I'm just going to play for 10 minutes until I get to a save point and then close the game and boot it up. And so none of it's really perfect in that way. So I don't know if they'll change the auto saving, but hopefully they can just fix some of the bugs that are going on with the game. So if you are interested in the game, I'm just going to say, like, at least don't play it now. Like, wait a couple months, which is too bad to have to say, but that's kind of where I'm at with it in that way. Keep going on here. There's a lot of very weird things in this game. Once again, with that mixed media thing I was telling you about. But one thing I found very strange was that Sam Lake is like the creative director, writer, the main studio head of Remedy. He's the big dog over there, and he's done like a bunch of marketing for this game. Like he's at Summer Game Fest up on stage talking to Keighley, and you see his face everywhere. And like the first character you meet in this game is modeled after him, and it's not weird. Him. It's like it's not Sam Lake. It's some other like cop guy. But it's like, this is a very weird choice to me. Like, this is very immersion breaking, and I don't know if he just I don't think it's his voice, because he has like a very specific accent, and it's not that accent. So I don't think it's his voice. It's just his likeness. And I'm like, this is such a weird choice. And like, is his ego that big that he's like, they got to model this after
I'm going to
me?
be the first character that they see in this game.
Exactly. Or like, maybe there's something else going on, or maybe there'll be a twist that will be interesting in some way. But he's like a pretty big character in the game. It's not like he's just some random guy that dies off in 10 minutes. So that's really weird. I don't know if this also takes place in the same universe as Quantum Break that I mentioned, but Sean Ashmore is in this game, who was like the lead guy of Quantum Break. That's the guy who played Iceman in the X-Men movies, right? And his character's name in this game is Tim Breaker, so I don't think it's a Quantum Breaker. There's a reference there. So once again, just a weird thing where it's like, it takes you out of it a little bit because it feels a bit too fourth wall-y, but then so much of this game with the memory and Alan Wake writing the own story that is taking place, all of it is kind of weirdly fourth wall-y in certain ways. So I guess it does kind of work. But I gotta say that like there's just things in this game that do feel weird in those ways. And then once again, I mentioned that live action Alan Wake guy in there, and it is weird at time, and I feel like his acting's a bit cheesy. And once again, I don't know if that's intentional or not. I can't tell with this game like what exactly the vision was, and if it's succeeding at its vision perfectly, or if there's supposed to be weird things like this, or if it's just missing the mark a little bit. And I think I can really only say when I've completed the game fully to decide down on. I'm definitely going to do that. I'm definitely going to keep playing and see this thing through, because I'm very much enjoying it. But yeah, there is a lot of weirdness in there.
Yeah. I've never actually played Alan Wake 1. I had a small period, probably in that machinima era, actually. You just opened up a whole memory bank I forgot about. But I was really, really interested in this game. I remember even like in my at school, at elementary school, where we had like the library and those Xbox like gaming magazines. I remember they
Okay.
had like a Alan Wake section, and I was just reading all about it. I'm like, this game looks so crazy, and it looked freaky. It interested me, but I don't know if I just didn't have an Xbox 360 at the time or something. Like I just didn't have access to the game, and then just time went on, and I just accepted I'll never play the game. But always was pretty interested in it, but me not really knowing like the gameplay at all, is this one very similar to what the first one is? Is it linear? Is it kind of like open where you like go around and I don't know, do like, is there side quests or something in this game? Like how does it play in that sense? I know what the game, like the combat at least is like, and
Right.
is that changed a lot from the first to the second game?
Yeah, like I said, like it's hard for me to remember the intimate details of how the first game plays because it's just been so long, and like I said, it's
Yeah.
kind of a forgotten place in my mind. In terms of the basic mechanics of combat, I'd say that stuff is the same. This probably just feels more refined, especially after Control, which is like a really good feeling, like solid game. I feel like they've probably just upped their game in terms of game feel. And then the structure of the game is kind of interesting. Like you have two characters that you're playing. You're playing as Alan Wake in some sequences, and then you're playing as Saga, who's a new character as far as I can tell. And each one of them has kind of the different feel to it. Saga is a cop, and very much that feels like a detective game. You are doing detective work. You're going to starts out by going to like this crime scene. You're investigating clues, and so that area is like somewhat open. You can there's different paths you can get down to go around this campsite and down to the lake. And you're finding clues, and there's even some things you might miss. But then there's, of course, like one linear goal that you have to get to at a certain point, and then some sequences are very linear in the way you're going through them. But then after that, you go back to a town, and once again, that you can kind of explore and look around and talk to people and see what's going on, or you could just rush straight to your objective. So I'm not going to say it's an open world game because it's absolutely not that, but you have some somewhat open areas where you can explore a little bit, and I feel like you don't want to explore too much because a couple times I did hit invisible walls, and I'm like, I should probably not. I realize I'm probably not supposed to go up this street. I was just seeing if I can be cheeky, but it's like you kind of just takes you out of it when you walk into an invisible wall.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of smaller areas in that way. So when you're playing a Saga, very much detective work at this point, and then like combat sequences will pop up. And then Alan, so far, all of his stuff is just super trippy. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just I'd say more linear, but it's just a weird, trippy adventure where he's going through the dark place, which is some weird mirror world with shadow creatures and all that. So yeah, definitely a mix of gameplay styles. And I guess it's definitely in that survivor horror kind of realm in terms of you have limited resources, and you always have your I think this might be a change. I feel like in the first game, and I could be totally wrong on this, I think in the first game you had your flashlight and you could like turn it on and it would just like burn the battery down over time, which makes sense. But in this game, your flashlight is always on, but then if you want to like stun an enemy, you like supercharge the flashlight, and that's what uses up the currency. So I think they made it so you can still have your flashlight, you can still look around and see the details, especially when you're doing detective work, but then you're not going to like burn your resource just by looking around. But then they also kind of play on that in a way too, where in the section with Alan Wake that I was doing, if you have your flashlight on at all, then the shadow creatures are like, they want to come attack you. They see you that way. So you want to like hide in the dark, which of course makes it a bit more spooky because you can't see as much. So there's a good play on that. But yeah, definitely a survival horror kind of general gameplay mixed in with some detective stuff. And one thing I think is a really cool novel solution that I guess only this generation of consoles can really do with the fast loading is that rather than having like a menu where you have like a quest log and an inventory where you're changing weapons, you just tap the select button and you instantly go into this different world. So for Saga, it's like her home, and then for Alan, it's like this writer's room kind of thing. And in there, it's instant, like less than a second, very quick loading, going into this place. And in there is like, it's kind of like an interactive menu. You can walk around her house. She has like the classic like detective board with like all the pins everywhere and the strings attaching things. And so you're kind of piecing together your quest log in a way. You're like putting images up, and like if you find this new image, you can like find where it goes on the board and string all these things together, and you're kind of making these deductions and whatnot, going through your file cabinet, pull out different quests and things like that. And then you can go and just like, rather than in some games where it's like, oh, you can go revisit like whatever notes you've picked up or a video that you've seen, you just like go over to the TV and you can like string through like the different cutscenes that you have and whatnot. So it's just like a more immersive menu, and I'm really enjoying that part of it. I think it's super creative, and then it works really well with Saga, who's doing like her detective work up on this board, and then it works really well with Alan, who's like writing his story. You're like helping him write the story by putting notes up on your kind of writer's thing. So just really, that's like one of the highlights for me is that mind place is what they call it, and it's like just a really cool novel thing. And then once again, the light is a big part of this. So I mentioned that basic mechanic with fighting, but then you also have like safe havens of light, and that's where you can kind of heal up a bit and enemies can't enter into those zones. And then one thing that I think you would really enjoy is that you get this thing with Alan at some point where it's essentially like that Dumbledore's lighter where you can just go around and like suck a light out of a light post and then you go put it somewhere else. And whenever you do that, it like, once again, fast load times things, it like slightly changes the scene you're in. And so it might open up, it might move this debris so now you can go up the staircase, or it might create a doorway that wasn't there before. And you never really know what's going to happen. So it's always like, once again, that survival horror part, you never really know like what's going to pop out when you suck the light away or put the light back up. So that just some really cool ways that they've, like, I don't think that was in the first game. So that's like a really cool way that they've kind of ratcheted up just this thing being on newer hardware that can do other things that the first game couldn't do. At least based on my memory of the first game.
Yeah, kind of reminds me of Plague Tale in the fire. Just the way that you navigate like certain areas, light up that torch and get rid of some rats.
Definitely. And yeah, so it's all super solid. I think, you know, a big highlight for me is these environments. It seems like it's set in kind of Pacific Northwest. So of course I'm always into games that are set in the forest that look like our backyards and going down to these cool lakes and different. And then Alan is in this New York, this version of New York. You're like in this talk show and you're in this studio, and I don't know, really, really cool environments. I'm spending a lot of time just looking around all the details because there's so many little details all around and mixed in with like the puzzle mechanics and the combat in there. So yeah, super, super solid game. Really, really enjoying it. I will definitely report back when I've played more of it or finished it. I feel like this one's probably going to make it in my top 10 for sure at the end of the year. I wonder how high it'll get. I could see it being a top 5 contender. I don't know. I really have to get further in it. But yeah, big recommendation for me with the caveat of there's a lot of bugs and glitches right now, and maybe you should wait a month or two before they iron out some of that stuff. And I don't know. That also could be a Series X thing. So maybe do some research. Maybe PS5 version's fine. Maybe PC's fine. I don't really know. I'm just playing on Series X over here.
I feel like that level of like audio bugs, especially the fact that you've had to like redo like the whole 2-minute intro sequence. I feel like that can be very like game breaking to the point it's like I don't even want to jump back in this. Like it's just really like I don't know, just kill the whole mood. But it sounds like you're enjoying it enough that you're able to push back past that, which is good.
Yeah, it's been frustrating, but I mean at least for the opening cutscene, I could like skip the cutscene again, so I could get through it fairly quickly. And it doesn't take that long to close a game on Xbox and open it again from scratch, but it's still like, oh, I gotta go see the logos again every time. That's honestly just one of my biggest pet peeves on consoles is when the quick resume feature is like glitched out. It just bothered me. Like sometimes you'll go in, some games will go in and like the frame rate is super messed up if you do that, or like Redfall doesn't function at all with quick resume because of the always online feature. Hitman is kind of the same thing. So that's just always one of the biggest pet peeves because that's probably my favorite part of the new generation of consoles. All the new features are great, but I just love quick resume and switching between things quickly and not having to wait, just immediately turn the console on, go into your game. And yeah, you can't always do that with Alan Wake 2, but maybe eventually you will be able to, hopefully at least.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's Alan Wake. How about we take our first break and we'll be right back. Okay, we are back. Kirkland, what have you been playing lately? Anything else other than stream things that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I want to talk Mario Wonder. Actually, I know you and Taylor talked about it, but Shay and I have been plugging away through it, having lots and lots of fun with it, and yeah, we've been progressing pretty smoothly. We've kind of been going in a natural clockwise direction. There's a certain point in the game that you can kind of choose which world you want to go on, but we're just kind of tackling it in that order. So I believe we're on the I think we just finished like the mushroom world, the fungi one, and I can't remember if it's the lava one next or because I know we have 2 left.
Yeah, because once you get past Shining Falls, you can go into I think the desert volcano or the mushroom gorge at that point, and you have the option. So you went to mushroom first as your 4th world, I guess, or did you do desert already?
Yeah, we did desert already because it's like water then desert, I think, and then. But I will say we haven't done any of the levels on like that hidden kingdom, like up in the
Right.
sky yet. We
Yes,
went up
yeah.
there and saw the 5-star difficulty. It's like, whoa,
I think
what
we
is going on
tried.
here?
I forget if we tried the first level. I think we might have just seen the difficulty and said, "Yeah, we'll do this later."
Yeah, that's exactly what we said. So yeah, maybe we didn't finish the mushroom one then, because I know we still have 2 more of the what do they call it? The royal seeds left to collect
Okay,
before the
yeah.
big Bowser thing is unlocked. So, but yeah, I've really been loving this game. Me and Shay have had lots of fun playing through these. I guess they're just like the Mario World games. There's one on the and maybe I don't know. There was one on the Wii, and then they did like a I don't know if you want to call it a remake, but it was something like those lines on the Switch. For it was like the same game, but I think they added more characters or something to it. I don't remember exactly what it was, but yeah, we just had a lot of fun playing through these types of games where you have that roster of. I think in those other ones it was like Mario, Luigi, Toads, and Nabbids was in one of them. I can't remember if it was that last one. Like
Has
I said, it
Yoshi
was.
ever?
I don't
'Cause he's
think
usually,
Yoshi
like,
was
such
in
a
there.
different moveset that they might not put him in.
Yeah, I think this was the first one of this type that they actually added him in there, as well as of course we got Daisy now and Peach but yeah, no, we just I don't know they're just a fun game for us to play, and we've been really impressed by this. I've really enjoyed all the new features that they've added. I listened to you and Taylor's review of it, so I don't want to rehash everything that you guys said there, but yeah, I really love just the wonder system. It just changes things in like such psychedelic trippy ways, and it really just like I don't know, surprises me. It's like, hey, what is this one gonna be? And all of a sudden I'm this turtle thing that's just like ripping down like 1,000 miles an hour down this highway. It's like this is so different than the gameplay that I'm used to in these types
The
of
amount of
Mario
variety
platform.
is insane with it too.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the new power-ups. I think my favorite is either the bubble one or the I call it the Oliphant, but the elephant power. It's just the way that it changes your character is so funny, and you just feel so powerful just using your trunk and destroying things. And I liked what you mentioned on the review of just the little quality of life improvement of like the little details of like going through the pipes, or if you're doing like the butt drop and it has like that snare with the like it's I love that, and it's like just having it here, it's like why have they not had this in every Mario game? Like this is just such a small detail, but it adds so much. And yeah, I've just had a total blast playing through these. So yeah, Shay and I are progressing pretty smoothly. I think yeah, she's working right now, but this weekend we'll have some time to jump back in there, and I think we'll be able to actually roll credits in the next session that we play it on. Not including all the extra like the bonus world or the
when it comes to Mario stuff, how much of a completionist kind of guy are you? Do you go back and do the things? Do you make sure you get everything as you're going through the levels? Do you not really care about that?
I feel like I don't really care about it, but Shay is like we're collecting everything. We're getting every Wonder Seed. We're doing all this, and that has been her mindset on every Mario game that we've played
Does she have
together.
to do it like as you're going through them, or can you come back to something later on to finish it?
Like it would like eat at her if we have to pass it. It's definitely happened in the past. If it's just like so hard, it's like we can't find this one thing. This one thing on the level is just so hard. It's like, okay, we'll come back to it, but we will be coming back to it because she needs to get all of it. She's not like a super competitive gamer, but like certain things like that, she just has to get them, and I respect that. So we'll definitely be collecting like all the Wonder Seeds we're getting on every level before we progress.
Those are worth
on that.
getting for sure.
Yeah,
if you don't get them all, then you're missing out on some cool experience.
Exactly.
Like, if you don't get a purple coin.
Yeah, like
I like to get them all, but like I'm not gonna stay up, until 2 a.m. and make sure I get the purple.
And like all it does is just add more purple coins, and like we're basically maxed out on purple coins like through the entire game.
I cannot spend all this money if I tried.
It's so funny too, because like like I spend the purple coins on like the upgrades that you get, or the badges, sorry, that you'd get there. Maybe sometimes we'll buy like the
rarely
like the 5
though can you
pack
actually
of
buy a new badge. Like I think there's been like 3 or 4 that I've had in the shop so far.
Yeah, it's been a couple, and
maybe
then
there's hidden shops somewhere. I'm sure there is somewhere.
Yeah, I think there actually was one that we did find on the sand world there, but yeah,
I'll go
I
for that.
might have had a badge in there, but there is certain areas too that they'll be like, oh, give me 50 coins and like I'll repair this bridge for you or something. It's like, okay, I have 999. Like that's not really a big deal to me.
Yeah.
And then I like I swear that's happened twice now where I've given him my money and then you go through the area and he's like, thanks so much. Here's 50 coins. And it's like, are you kidding me? Like
That's
like what is
hilarious,
this game? I I get it. It's for all audiences, but
Rebate.
yeah, I've been very impressed with Mario Wonder. I feel like I was kind of on the fence on it, and then as soon as Shake caught wind of it, it's like we are buying this right now. Like, okay, let's do this. I love
Nice.
having games that we can play together, and we've both been having an absolute blast on this. And it's I feel like it's a good level of challenge. Like Mario games are definitely for all audiences, but there is some levels like those 4, maybe 5-star difficulties that are
Yeah.
actually tricky. Like they they
Super,
take
yeah.
some time.
Have you done
so
those like I don't know what they're called, like the puzzle rooms where there's like they have like 5 hidden flowers and you just have to go to certain parts of the level to find them.
I
forget what they're
I don't
called.
think
I've
so.
seen like 2 or 3 of them so far.
Yeah.
And, like both of them took us a long time to find all these hidden
Oh,
things.
okay, yes,
Even though
no,
they're
I
a
did.
small little level, but
Yeah.
somehow they hide them super well in there.
I think we've done 2 of them, and the first one that I did, I actually had to like look up a walkthrough because it did not make sense to me. It was the one that you have to like move a pipe. I'm like, how would I even think that I have to like that's even a mechanic? Like you have to go on the left side of the pipe, move it over, and then you jump on it, and then there's a hidden block like on top of that one. So
That's
that one
crazy,
stumped
yeah.
me. But I really like to just like they're kind of challenge rooms, I guess, where you have to defeat all these enemies and you can kind of
Yeah,
choose your
yeah.
power that you want to tackle the room with. They're not too tricky, but they're still, it's something different than just the basic levels that you're going through. So yeah, really been enjoying it and really impressed. It looks beautiful, like all the different animations that they do. I love when you're the elephant and you go through the pipe and they like squeeze their hips through.
Yeah,
So all of that stuff I've been really enjoying, and yeah, it's great.
Nice. Okay. I have 3 more games to talk about here. I have 2 immersive simmy sort of things, and I have a puzzle game. What do you want to hear about first here?
Give me the puzzle game.
So yeah, this game came up like just over a month ago now. At this point, I've just been waiting to talk about it on Sidequest. Just been kind of we've had full weeks of things. I haven't had time to talk about this one yet, but this is a game called Cocoon. I don't know if you remember this one from any of the showcases. It's essentially like a zoomed out sort of isometric view. You're playing as this cute little bug guy that I really like the look of. And you are going around picking up these different orbs, putting these orbs down, and then you're like jumping inside the orb, and then inside the orbs are different worlds, and that's essentially the hook of it, and you're solving different puzzles with this general mechanic. But I played through this one. It's a good Game Pass pickup there, and the whole thing took me like maybe 5 or 6 hours to get through. And I said this in our Discord, so if anyone was in there, they would have heard this scoop a few weeks ago. But this is one of, if not, no, it's not going to be my top, but it's definitely, I think, in my top 5 favorite puzzle games of all time. This was one of my favorite in the genre for me, and I think it just had that perfect blend of difficult puzzles, but not too difficult. I at no point had to look up a guide, which always, I feel like when a puzzle game hits to the point where it's so difficult or so challenging that I need to hit a guide, and the moment I do, I'm like immediately all my investment in the game is gone because I've spoiled this one thing for me. That even stuff after that, I just don't care as much. But this is like the perfect difficulty where some of them took me a good while, but it was always very fun to figure out. And when I finally did, I just got that very rewarding feeling, that dopamine hit. And it's just that completely through. Like this game has the perfect pacing. I feel like every single puzzle in the game was like play tested 1,000 million times over to just like the perfect degree. It just feels like a truly a masterclass in the genre for me. And I when I saw the trailers for it, I thought, okay, this looks cool, but I don't know how good, like, am I gonna love it? Is the idea of it gonna be as strong as like this general hook of going into these orbs and moving these orbs around? And I think it definitely works for me, and it nails it. And there's a few reasons for that. One is this game's not split into like levels. You're not going like, oh, here's 1-1, 2-1, 3-1.
Right.
Going through these different worlds. It's just one long continuous experience, and so it ends up being I don't know. I guess you have these different orbs. And I guess when I saw the trailers, I thought you'd maybe go on these different levels, and each one would have like a few orbs, and you're solving these kind of handcrafted puzzles. But instead, it's just like this one long continuous adventure. And there's only like 4 or 5 orbs in the whole game. But it's like, okay, you might go in maybe I'm gonna go into the orange orb. I'm gonna solve a bunch of puzzles. And I'm gonna move like for a half an hour. I'm gonna get a bunch of progression through this, and then I'll pop out and I'll go into this blue orb and I'll make some progress there, and then I'll grab the orange orb, bring it into the blue orb, go back into the orange orb there, and then I'm gonna make more progress through here. And just the way you're going in and out of these worlds and constantly making progress in all of them kind of simultaneously and bringing them along, and the fact that you at no point the game never like cheats, like you're always bringing them with you at the same time, even though you can only carry one at a time, just because it's all so well designed with like the perfect spacing. It does the great thing that I hate when a puzzle game has a bunch of extra fluff in the level, so you don't really know, like, oh, is this part of like the puzzle? Am I supposed to use this thing to solve it? But this game does a really good job of like closing off an area behind you, so you're not going to go back and be like, oh, maybe I should have done something back there.
Right.
So there's, even though your character moves somewhat slow, I felt like I never really had to backtrack it, other than like if it was backtracking to solve a simple puzzle or something like that. So it's one of those games that I could talk about forever, but I really think people just got to play it for themselves and invest an hour or two, and I think you'll eventually like have that kind of click moment with it where you're just super invested. And yeah, I just absolutely loved it. There's no story or no dialogue whatsoever. It's just all about the puzzles, and even though it's one long continuous level, it never feels overwhelming. This game has like one of the coolest finales ever in a puzzle game too, in the way these kind of mechanics combine for this very cinematic finish. It's just amazing. Just a super, super fucking good puzzle game. And I want everyone to play it because I feel like it got a little bit of buzz. And I think a lot of the trailers like looked really cool and people were into it. But then I feel like it kind of came and went pretty quickly. But I don't want this one to come and go quickly. I want everyone to go play it. Once again, on Game Pass. But I would happily spend the whatever it is, $30 that the game is. Probably on Switch as well. It'd be a good place to check it out. So yeah, highly recommend Cocoon. Amazing, amazing game.
That's awesome. I definitely forgot about this game, and then pulled up the image and definitely remembered it there. And just really like the art style. Looks really beautiful.
Yeah, very nice aesthetics. And once again, it's good because like it keeps it pretty simple. Like generally like somewhat muted colors. There's not tons of detail in the environments. It's still clearly stylized, but not enough that you're going to be confused as to what you're supposed to interact with or which way you're supposed to go. It just doesn't muddy the I don't know, the clarity of it. So it's just perfectly designed all around. Can't give enough. Okay, let's talk about a couple other games here. One is a very quick shout out. This is a game that I heard about recently, and I was just sitting in Kelowna. I kind of had nothing to do. I was like, I'll just pick it up on Steam. It's $6. It's a game called Mosa Lina, which I always mess up because I always want to say Mona Lisa, but it's they just swap two letters for whatever reason. You'll probably look at a picture or a trailer of this and think this looks like kind of a rinky-dink little game. This is a tiny little puzzle game, and I just love the description of it, so I'm going to read that, which is a hostile interpretation of the immersive sim where nothing is planned and everything works. And it really is just like this simple little game where you dropped into these small little puzzle rooms. You're given a randomized set of 3 tools that are very immersive simmy, and that they all kind of have multiple uses and they combine in interesting ways, and they have all these ways they interact with each other. And each level is a simple goal. You have to like you have to essentially collect these apples, but you could either collect them by jumping onto them, or you can just like blow them off the side of the screen like a Smash Bros sort of way. So once again, that combined with all these mechanics that you have makes it so you can solve these levels in a million different ways. And then you have to get to an exit. It's an interesting game because it's like going die hard on the randomness of it, where the game tells you and reminds you often that there might just be a random draw that you get where the level is just not solvable. It's just not possible, which maybe feels adverse to an immersive sim where you can always like figure something out and get a creative solution to it. But I think instead it's just like really incentivizing you to reset and be okay with that, and then getting a new set of equipment and just trying to solve the level again in another new and creative way. And it took me a bit to like truly get that. I feel like for the first half an hour, I was like, it's kind of lame. I feel like, why are you giving me this level that's unbeatable? Like that doesn't feel good. But then I feel like I eventually figured out how the game is meant to be played, and then essentially one of the ways it's sort of set up is you're not really going through like here's level 1, 2, 3. It's sort of Cocoon once again. Instead, you're just given like this random set of levels, and I don't really know how it works in the long term. But essentially, there's like 9 levels, And so if you die on one of the levels, you'll just randomly get put to one of the other 9 levels. And let's say you complete that or you die, you'll just randomly get put to another one. As soon as you complete any one of those 9, they're checked off. They're checked off the list. And so eventually you'll go back to a level that you lost on, but then you'll be there with like a new set of equipment. And so eventually to get down to you only have like 2 or 3, and you're kind of going back and forth between them, or maybe doing the same one over and over again until you figure it out or get it solved. And then whenever one is the last one, then at that point it opens up the level, and there's like a huge other area to it. And every one of these so far has felt so daunting and impossible. And one of them, it took me probably like half an hour of resetting over and over again to get the right equipment, or just really figuring out. Like at that point, I'd mastered the mechanics that I was given for that set of levels so much that when I first saw them, I'm like, there's no way this is possible, and that sucks. I went through like 9 levels to get to this thing that is not beatable. But it was beatable, and it took me half an hour, and I just did like the coolest solution ever that feels like the best of immersive sim feelings when you come up with some really creative solution and it works, and the game feels like it's rewarding you for that. And this game is just like chasing that high. It's like this mini version of an immersive sim that is just chasing those moments where you felt really creative and really cool, and like you did something that no one else has done before. And it's probably true just because of the way these powers are randomly given out. And I don't know. It's super, super fun. I don't really know. I feel like it's going to exist as one of those games that like once a year I re-download it and play it for 2 hours and have a great time and then put it down again. And I'll just like do that for years and years and years. And I'm sure they'll add, I think I even saw they're adding like a level editor so community can make levels and put those up. And I'm sure that's going to be fantastic. Add a bunch more replayability to it. And like, anytime they add one new power, that will just multiply exponentially the amount of possibilities that the game has and way these things different interact with each other. And yeah, it's just really, really fun 2D platform immersive sim that once again $6, great pickup. And yeah, I don't know, Kirk. I don't know if you'd be into it. I think you might, but I know sometimes that you like bounce off a game quickly, and I feel like with this one you need to put like you gotta put like probably an hour at least into it, or maybe even 2 before you like kind of get it. Because even though I just explained it to you, you still will get in there and you'll have those same feelings, I think, and you'll like, be like, this is kind of weird. I don't like that I can't beat this level. But then eventually you might have that click moment, and it'll be like, okay, this is just a really cool kind of small but really fulfilling experience.
Nice. Yeah. No, I pulled it up on Steam, added to the wish list because it's a nice price. I just want to read these 2 Steam reviews that I found hilarious. This one, it says, "It was cheap. I bought it. It was frustrating. It was horrible. It was unfair. It was hilarious. It was satisfying. It was fun. I will be back for another slice," he says.
Yeah, I love that. Another slice. I like that. I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that for games in the future.
The second one, very short, just says, "Mosa Lina, Masta Pisa."
Nice. That's
great wordplay there.
That's
but yeah, definitely never heard of this before. And the art style, I don't know, it reminds me of something, but I like can't put my finger on it. It reminds me, I don't even know, like an early iPhone or early iPod Touch game or something like that.
No, I think that that's connecting some wires in my brain too. I don't know what it is, but it has that aesthetic for sure. Yeah. I read a really good review of this on thegreatbacklog.com. I think it was like the top one up there. It was multiple paragraphs long, so I won't read it like you did with those Steam reviews, but it was like a great encapsulation of why this game is so interesting and cool and like worth playing. So yeah, I think people are loving this over on Backlog. Some good reviews written over there.
Nice.
So there's that one. And then really the last game I wanted to talk about here is also one that I played a couple weeks ago, and this is kind of another spooky game. This is Amnesia: The Bunker. So another Game Pass title, the newest Amnesia game, which I did not see a single trailer or hear anyone talk about when it came out in June. And I saw it on Game Pass, and I'm like, I'm going to put this in the back of my head, and when October comes around, I'm going to download this spooky game and play through it. Kirklin, what's your experience with Amnesia? You ever played any of these games before?
I played The Dark Descent.
Right,
scared the absolute bejeebas out of me. I feel like that is the one that people talk about. Didn't even know that Rebirth was actually a thing.
Dude, there are so many Amnesia games, and I did not know. Because I also played like an hour of Dark Descent. I knew there was like probably one just called Amnesia, but there have been so many of these games of the year that just go completely under the radar.
Yeah, I had a buddy of mine back in high school days that he was a huge fan of the Amnesia series, and I remember when Machine for Pigs came out, he was super, super excited. And the next day, I'm like, "Oh, how's Machine for Pigs? Like you get far in it?" He's like, it broke me. I hate that game so much. I hate Amnesia so much now. Like I love Dark Descent so much, and that game just changed it for me. I'm like, oh no,
Do you
what a
still
180.
know that guy? Are you still friends with that
Yep.
guy?
Shouts out to the great and powerful Adam Pendleton.
Oh, okay. I know Adam Pendleton.
Yeah,
too.
there
I was
you
gonna
go.
Say,
Yeah.
I should ask him if he's played. I should ask him if
You
he's
should,
played The
yes,
Bunker.
absolutely. I figured we had some mutual friends there, so
No, I saw him a couple months ago. That's funny.
oh nice. It's great dude.
Okay, Kirkland, I'm gonna blow your mind here. The game that this game most reminds me of is Prey 2017.
Whoa.
This is a Prey-like. This is a very
This is a Prey-like.
arcane-y. This is an arcane kind of game here. And of
Holy
course,
crap.
the scale is a lot smaller. The setting is very different, but it elicits a lot of the same emotions and a lot of the same, I'll say, gameplay loop as Prey does, and that's why I had such a great time with this. Once again, another like 5-6 hour long game. That, or maybe even less than that. I think maybe 4 to 5 hours, somewhere in that pocket of time. And I did play on easy because I do that often for scary horror games, and that seemed like a good way to go through for my first playthrough of this. But yeah, like I said, I played like an hour of Dark Descent back in the day. Back in the day, I was not into scary games other than Alan Wake. That was one exception because of Machinima. But now I'm more into scary games, and so Amnesia was fun to kind of get back into this series a little bit. And for off the hop, it was not necessarily a setting that I thought I was going to jive with a whole lot. It's set in, I think, World War One, and the game starts out, you're like in a trench in the war, and you're learning like essentially the controls of the game, and then you go into a bunker, you get knocked out at some point, and then you wake up, and then everyone's gone, you're alone, the lights aren't working, and all the scary stuff's happening, so you're like in it, and so you spend the whole game essentially in this bunker, kind of between these trenches. And I ended up really liking that setting. I think it worked really well. But yeah, this game kind of has one interconnected world where you're somewhat in the middle, and then you're going off like, oh, I got to get this tool from this the prison quarters, so I'll go do that, or I got to go down to the soldiers' quarters and go get this thing. So in that way, it feels very much like Prey, where you have the lobby, and everything kind of juts off from that and then reconnects with each other in different ways. A lot of backtracking in a way. You're revisiting the same areas over and over again, getting familiar with them, but each time you may be like, maybe this door has always been locked, but now you finally have the tool or a solution. You've thought of some way to get in there, so you have that sort of thing. And then it has that very Prey thing of, how do you want to get through this door? Well, there are like 20 ways you could get through this door, and that's going to depend on how you want to do it, the resources you have, and so that could be like the classic thing of maybe you just find a key that unlocks that door, or maybe you can go find a hole in the wall behind, like on the other side of this room, and like shoot the lock specifically so that it breaks, and then you can get in the door. You could just throw a grenade at the door, find an explosive barrel, bring it over to the door, light the door on fire. All these different things, or maybe go through a grate on the side, or find some hidden passageway behind some planks, that sort of thing. And I just love that kind of gameplay. I love that in Prey, just a little mini puzzle each time you're trying to get into a specific room, whether it's just for resources or for a story beat. And that has the very same thing here. But I think that this has an added element onto it where, you're trying to get through a lot of wooden doors. And so the most obvious way is like, I'm just going to blow up with a grenade because that's easy to do. But then when you do that, it awakens the creature that is in this world, this absolute monstrosity that I don't think you can really fight. I tried it every time, just got absolutely wrecked, and it's very scary. So it adds like this nice push and pull where maybe the easiest way is to go loud and explosive, but then that's absolutely going to bring the monster after you. And when you make a huge noise like that, he's going to be on you quickly. And so that is like a really fun mechanic to it as well. And anytime you shoot a gun, breaking those locks, or shooting an enemy, you have to think about like, okay, what is my escape plan here? As soon as I shoot this gun, this thing's going to come running after me, and I can hear it going through the floorboard or the ceiling above me, and like dust is falling down on me from over top. You can see the little holes that it crawls through, so I know like, oh, it's going to pop out of there. I guarantee it. So all that part of it is super good. It's got that same scariness element that Prey has. And then in a very similar way, when the creature is walking around this place, it just messes with the lighting around it in that kind of weird energy way that like the phantoms do in Prey.
Right.
So it has that scary thing too, where you may be hiding under a counter and you think you're okay, but then like the lights start flickering, and you don't know if it's just the light flickering normally or if the monster's getting nearby, sort of thing. So many ways in which it reminded me of Prey, and it's smaller, more contained Prey, but that's almost better in a way. Like I think I want more of that. We're just like, give me a 4-hour immersive sim, and like I think I want that. Of course, I still want Arcane to make these big, huge games, but I love that kind of from an indie perspective, we can have that sort of gameplay, but just on like a smaller scale.
Yeah, that sounds terrifying.
The controls are really. They took me a bit to get used to. It's very. immersive in that you can kind of interact with everything once again in a very Arcane Studios immersive sim sort of way. But it's kind of weird where like the right trigger is just like the interact button. So if like that's what you use to pick stuff up. But then also like if you want to open a door, you like hold the right trigger and then like swing the stick around or like swing the door. It almost feels like playing Skate or something with like that kind of control scheme. So it's cool. You have like a level of precision with it that is quite nice, but it definitely takes getting used to. But I think it ultimately just made the game like very immersive because you have that level of freedom, and it's trying to make sure like every room and every object is like purposefully placed.
It sounds like that's, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what they've had even since the Dark Descent days. So
yeah, I think so.
It must have just been attached to that Amnesia title, which is great. They haven't got away from that because it definitely is immersive. Being able to just interact with everything and being able to like slowly open the door like at your own whim. It's not like you're just hitting the E button, you know, and then the door just swings right open or whatever it is.
Yeah, and then a couple other ways that once again the praise similarities keep on coming is, you know, I'm reading every note in this game because I wanted to see like the story. I wanted to see the kind of live events of people writing their journals as these events are going, and like some people fled the bunker and then like caved in the entrance to kind of keep the beast down there, leaving all the other soldiers and friends behind, which is like so messed up. But going through that whole narrative is pretty intriguing. There, you know, you're finding like dead bodies of the other soldiers all over the place, but then that kind of is similar to that prey thing where you're trying to find bodies and maybe they'll have a clue and you're trying to like, I know I need to find this specific body because it's giving me a code on his dog tag that I can use to unlock this locker. And so you're trying to find these certain people and piece all this stuff together. Really engaging stuff. This game has a really interesting lighting system, I guess I'll say, where obviously it's very dark. You're in this bunker. The lights aren't working very well. And so you're trying to go around. You're trying to find your way through things. But also you're trying to see what the hell's going on. And so you have this like, it almost looks like, it's almost like a Beyblade. It's like this little flashlight and you like yank on it like a Beyblade. You yank on this chain or like a lawnmower, and that's what powers it up. And each time that you pull on it, like at the, I guess, apex of pulling on it, like the light is the brightest, and then it kind of sinks down, and you have to plug on it like maybe 5 or 6 times before it's like full power, and then it like within 30 seconds will fade back to darkness. So you have to constantly tug on this thing, which is great because like anytime you do that, like you're looking down a dark alleyway and then like it's getting lit slightly. You don't know what's going to be there, and it kind of adds this nice spookiness to it. But then also yanking on that thing is so fucking loud that it also alerts the monster. So you have to like be careful where you're doing it. If he's anywhere near you, you can't do it at all, or maybe if like hide in a closet before you're going to do something like that. So that's really good. And then there's this interesting mechanic where there's kind of this different light posts set up, but they're kind of daisy chained. So if you want to get like the 5th one down this line lit up, you have to get like 1, 2, 3, and 4 all connected. And so that is like a really nice sense of mini progression where it makes you feel more comfortable and safe in these spaces as you're slowly activating these lights. But then also there's some really good puzzles of trying to follow the chain to figure out how these different light systems connect. So just a bunch of really great mechanics in this thing. I had a great time from start to finish. It wasn't too scary either because the monster is very predictable. Like I said, once you're an hour and you realize that he can hear the sound and he knows the lighting, and you can figure out like how he's going to find you. And so that adds a really nice predictability to it. So I found like I wasn't too frightened because I always knew more or less when he was going to get to me. And, sometimes it got a bit, I got in the fray there and I had to run away, and that was very scary, and I didn't know how that was going to go. But for the most part, I think I like the predictability rather than like cheap jump scares or something,
right,
which is generally, not my preferred type of horror.
Von Dead,
Yeah, exactly. Fucking Von Dead. Oh my God, I can't handle that. So there you go. Another really, really cool game that like, I don't know, maybe I should go back and check out these other games because I didn't realize how immersive simmy they are, because I think they just kind of get put in the horror bucket and people think that's what they are. And maybe the other ones are. Maybe this game just kind of branched out and tried to do something different, and maybe it's inspired by some of these immersive sims, or maybe it's been doing it back since the first Amnesia and I just haven't played enough of them. But definitely a series I want to go check out more of now, because this was just a really great 4 to 5 hour experience that, once again, it's on Game Pass. Go check it out. I know spooky season's over, but it's still on Game Pass, so go play it while it's on there. It's really, really good.
It's great that IP is still just pumping out stuff too, because although I feel like across the board Machine of Pigs was the lesser if you compare it to at least Dark Descent, but I mean, this experience sounds like you're super positive on it, and it definitely brought some very innovative things to the horror survival genre, and I don't know. I feel like I'm just such a coward when it comes to these scary games. I've definitely played a handful of them, but I really have to just build up courage and something in order to get me involved in them. But this one sounds really cool. I like the World War I setting as well. There's an old horror movie that I remember seeing. I think it was just called The Bunker, and it was something. It's not so much like
homage to that.
yeah, it's not like a big monster that's chasing you, but it is in that setting that you're just so claustrophobic. Like the characters are stuck in a bunker and just things are happening. It's super freaky. And I remember thinking that was a really scary concept. That movie freaked me out. So this is just, I mean, you're actually playing it, which makes it that much scarier.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, no, I think for me the two big things were default to easy mode on all these horror games, scary games. For the most part, I just go to easy mode straight away. Make some exceptions, like Alan Wake 2. I went with normal because I felt like I wanted to see. I didn't want to make too much of a cakewalk, and I've played this before. And now that I've been playing more Resident Evils, I'm like starting to put them on normal by default. But the first couple, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm going on easy mode right away here because I want to reduce the stress as much as possible. And then I think for me also the Resident Evil is like I can have a guide open this entire time, and if I'm ever stuck and scared because like, oh, this thing's gonna come get me and I don't really know what to do, I'll just reference my guide and I can move on, and that way I can see all this game for all it has. But with kind of those two ways, the difficulty and the walkthrough, just kind of reducing those stress elements of it. And then now that I've played through more of them, I'm like more into it every time, and I'm less frightful of it, and I know what to expect and that kind of thing. So that was kind of my solution. But you know, if you don't want to do it, that's
good
fine.
tip though.
There's so many other games out there that you don't need these kind of genres. But I'm trying to get more into them.
Yeah, absolutely. I had another game to mention actually.
Please, go ahead.
Yeah, and it's keeping on that spooky vibe actually. This one is only on I think Steam, only PC, but Project Zomboid. This game initially was released, which blew my mind, in November 8th, 2013. So tomorrow would have been the whatever anniversary. So it's been out for I guess 10 years now. Yeah, which is 10 years and on the day almost, and it's it's got that early access title
It's
to it.
still in early access.
I think it's just because
God.
they like keep adding things to it. It's very well supported game. It's got a massive mod community too, which just like amplifies like I don't know the experience to it. I haven't played with any mods yet. I'm only about like 7.5 hours into my experience with it, but what this game essentially is just like the most in-depth zombie like immersive experience. It is the RPG system to it is like so detailed. You have just so many different stats for everything, for fitness, for like electronics, for of course combat fitness. It is just so complex to the point that like it definitely has a learning curve to it, but I'm about that 7.5 hour range. I feel like for me it really just like clicked in that like 2.5 hour maybe mark where like initially you're just fumbling around, you're not really doing well, you're never going to survive in the long run. And the big part about this game is before every run that you make, it just says like the world has come to an end, this is how you died. And then it starts the game, meaning that like this is the experience on how your character died, because you will die at some point playing this game.
That. That's cool.
Yeah, it's really just sets the tone of just being lost in an apocalyptic world where you are just the one survivor and just zombies everywhere. And the zombies are like, you can definitely fool them, but like they're not incredibly stupid. Like they do kind of remember where you've been. Like if you manage to get away from some zombies, go into some bushes, and they kind of lose sight of you, like they will kind of remember where you are. They're really good at hearing things too, though. So you have to be like very cautious of sneaking around. And they have great line of sight. Like if they see you, they will just go for you. They won't necessarily sprint for you. I think there is some sprinters in the game, but for the most part, they're just like the classic mindless zombies, which are stupid, but there's so many of them. And if you get caught, like you are just fucked. And there's so many ways to die in this game, whether it's you eat rotten food, whether you just like die to the elements. If you're running away from zombies and you jump through, like you could break a window with a weapon and then jump through, but there's like broken glass. So you have to like, you'd cut yourself. And if you don't like patch yourself up, there's so many details in this game that like, I just can't list them all. And I probably haven't even experienced them all for myself. But I had such a blast with this, and it is single player, but also as a multiplayer feature. I am trying to get a handful of friends to get this because I just feel like it would be such a fun game to play with friends and just kind of progress through it together. If a zombie like gets a hold of you and they happen to bite you, there is no cure. Your character will turn into a zombie, but it's not like instant. So like you like I got bit on one of my characters, just knew that it was the end for me. So you know what I did? I just went to the police station, found all the guns that I could, and I just went on a killing spree. And I just tried to take out as many as I could before they eventually overwhelmed me. And something that's really cool about this game is once your character dies, like your world is still made, so you could make another character and you could go find like your old character that's a zombie now that is carrying all your stuff, and like you could loot them. You could maybe go to like your old base that you're starting to make, because the crafting system is so in depth in this. You have like a carpentry skill, the electronic skill, so you could like make lights. About a month into the game, like the power goes out, so then you have to like start finding like a generator or different ways to just like power up your resources there. Eventually the water will get cut off, so then you have to start making like rain collectors, and then there's only so much canned food in the world, so you're gonna have to start like farming and doing trapping and hunting and fishing. And like I've never made it to that point of like the longevity of it. But I've just had such a positive experience with this, especially just like getting to that point that it's like, okay, I'm gonna try and clear out this area, and this is gonna be my base. This house, it's got a 2-story house. I'm gonna start putting curtains on the windows so they can't see me through the windows here. Maybe barricading some things here and there, and just like, I don't know, just planning my days out. So I'll sleep the next morning. I'll go hit like the supermarket, go collect some food, and just, I don't know, like it's so in depth that I can't speak upon everything on it, especially just that I haven't experienced everything yet. But man, it is such a fun time, and I can only see the experience getting that much better when you're playing with friends. And yeah, you're just playing with friends, and you're fighting zombies. All of a sudden, one of them gets bit, and then you have that like tough decision. It's like, man, like it's just a death sentence. Like they're dead now. Do we just kill them ourselves? Take the loot here and there. And yeah, I was watching like YouTube guides on how to like strategize your days, because it is very complex of a game. But I'm really glad that I found this, because I feel like I'm not necessarily a massive zombie fan, but this has just been really fun to play, and the mechanics are very smooth. The graphics are not the most crazy, next gen graphics, but that's definitely not what they're going for. I feel like it fits what it is, that isometric top down view.
No, the aesthetics kind of remind me of just like old school Flash games, which I really like.
Yeah,
it makes me
for sure.
feel a bit nostalgic for that era.
Yeah, absolutely. And like your field of view, although it's top down, you can't just see everything around you. Like you'll have kind of like a cone of vision where your character's looking. Right. So like you'll like turn a corner, and like there's not really jump scares in this game, but it has like audio cues where if you're like walking by a window and there's just a zombie right at the window, it'll be like, duh! like it'll scare the hell out of you, especially if you're playing this late at night, headphones on. And there's been many times where I'm like in a house, I'm looting, I'm going there, and I just open a door and there's like 2 zombies right there, and it does that audio cue, and they're just going right for me, and it's like, holy fuck, you're like trying to push them off. Worst case scenario, one of them gets on you and bites you. They don't bite you all the time. Like sometimes they'll get on you and they'll just kind of cut you or something. So every time that you like have that interaction where they kind of get onto you, you just like open up your I think it's like the skill tab or something, and it'll show you like your character. Like they'll show you the health of them, their weight, because you can be underweight in this game, you can be overweight, and like it's so in depth with the skill tracking thing. But it'll say bleeding, laceration, and if it says bitten, it's just like the worst feeling in the world. It's like, man, my life is over now. like oh no, especially if you're like, if you've been surviving for multiple days and you're starting to get on like just building your base or whatnot, and you just see that bitten on there. It's like, oh my god, are you kidding me? Like I feel like it gets to a point that you get very cocky as well. Like okay, I'm surviving right now. I'm pretty geared up. I got the full fighter suit, which means like it's just covered like everything, so they can't really bite you that easily. Like you're getting geared up. Maybe you found some very valuable resources that'll help you survive in the long run, and then just something happens. You just, I don't know, you're in your house and you think that you're completely secured, but they got in through a door that you weren't really expecting. You go down to collect something, and there's just like 2 zombies right there just walking for you. It's a really freaky experience, and you always feel like you're in danger. And if you don't feel like you're in danger, then you're not doing it right, because you're letting your guard down. And I've had that happen to me a few times. So definitely recommend this game, at least checking out. I don't know what the price is. I think it's about that like $20-$30 range. Yeah, $25. So not too expensive. It is in that early access tag, which can be pretty funny to look at on Steam, especially if it's been out for like a decade like this one. But it's got such a positive community to it, and the mod support is absolutely insane. I've seen some people's games and what they're able to do with some of the mods there, and it's a really, really fun experience and very customizable. Like, before you start your game, you can basically detail all there's so many options to customize your experience for what you want. Like, there's a lot of things that I've kind of tweaked, maybe just to help my system run a little bit better. Like I turned down so bodies won't just like there won't be 500 bodies just like littered. Like, if I manage to kill that many zombies, they won't just stay there forever, just bogging down my system. Like, they'll kind of start to dissipate after 50 or whatnot. Turn the blood effects down a little bit, but also things like how I said, like the power could go out within a month. It is in a range of that. Like, it could be 7 to 30 days, but you can also change that to just, I don't know, turn off in like 5 months or something if you really wanted to, or turn off right away. You can make it as hard or as easy as you want to. You can change the zombie population. Like, there's just so much things that you can kind of tweak.
Is the map like randomly generated when you make a new game? Because I know you said if you die with a character, you can come back with a new guy. So that would be the same world. But other than that, are you kind of creating a new map, like a Minecraft or something? Or?
So I think the total map is like it always has the same cities, it always has the same buildings and whatnot, but it's more so like what spawns in which area is always different in that sense. And when you start out, you choose between, I think it's 5 different cities that you can spawn in on, but they're all on the greater map, which is just this massive map. I've been starting, I think, in Rosewood lately on my starts there. It's a little bit like lower population of zombies. It's not like the big downtown main city hub that one of the other starts are. That's a lot more difficult, and I'm kind of scared to go there. But I do like how it's all interconnected, though. You're not really limiting yourself to just choosing one map. Like, you can get a vehicle and go drive out somewhere, and so but like every time you start the run, especially on what city you are, you'll like start in a different house, and you don't know exactly what's in your house, and hopefully there's a weapon that you can use, because literally any weapon is better than no weapon. You can't just like use your fisticuffs in this game. You could get a rolling pin, for example, like a bacon rolling pin. So really, really recommend it, because it's the type of game that I didn't even really know was out there. I feel like I saw like a friend of mine on my friends list playing it, and I just kind of want to check it out. And then first time I play, I got extremely humbled, and I'm like, this game is so complex, I'm never gonna learn it. And then kind of took some time to watch some YouTube tutorials and whatnot. And now that I kind of get it, I'm nowhere near an expert or anything like that, but I can definitely just see myself having so much fun, especially playing with friends for hundreds of hours of this game, and just seeing how long you can really survive, and just building that ultimate base or whatnot. It's a nice spooky game that's not too spooky, but it can definitely capture those horror vibe moments.
That's amazing. I want to check that out. That sounds super cool. I was just looking at a screenshot of like character was preparing his van, and just like all of there's like 40 parts of this car that you could presumably customize or fix, or could be missing or something. So if that's just one system and they're all like that, that's insane how much variety there is there. So that sounds amazing. And like I said, I really like that aesthetic. Very simplistic, but works for me. So I think I'd like to check that out. It sounds good.
Definitely add it to your wish list, because I would love to play this with you or whoever's on there, because I think you can get like quite a few people in a multiplayer match, and they even have like online matches, which I would never even attempt, because I'm sure there's some griefers on there that would just come and like ruin your day.
Take your rolling pin.
Yeah, exactly. Lead a bunch of zombies to you or whatnot. But I would love to play this with some others.
I gotta say, I love that mechanic of being bitten and not dying instantly. Because like if you're in a multiplayer world, that could be pretty cool. Like, I'm gonna die here, but I'm gonna go down swinging and try and protect my homies. But then also the other side of the coin, where if you're early on and presumably you're dying a lot, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna die no matter what. So let me just like, I've wondered how this mechanic works. I'm gonna mess around with it, or try this combat thing out that is felt too risky, but I'm gonna try it out now, because what do I have to lose? That's really cool. I think that's I can't think of another game that has something like that. That's a very cool mechanic.
And it truly is a death sentence. Like there's nothing you can do to cure it. You know, you can for other, like if you cut yourself, you can put a bandage on it, and then like the system is so in depth that like you'll have to change the bandages, and if you don't, they'll get infected, and then
Right.
you're just so vulnerable there. But like I think you might be able to slow down it eventually, but like you will turn into a zombie at some point. So yeah, it's really really cool, unforgiving system.
I'm sure there's a mod. If someone's not into that, they could probably
Yeah.
mod in some like cure button or something.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's probably a mod you can turn into like Superman or something, just annihilate the world.
That would be fun to go through as like She-Hulk or something like that. Just
Yeah.
punch the shit out of people. Yeah, that'd be cool. Awesome. This was a great little games we've been playing sort of episode here.
Yeah.
Like I said, next week, me and Taylor will be back with some more side quest goodness. Thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you again next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.